Welcome to Tuesday's Kitely session, and we're still along the coast. So we've travelled from one end of the coast to the other, and here we are still on the cliff with the lighthouse, but we're going to talk about cliffs today specifically, and I'm going to warn you all not to go too close to the edge. Okay. Now, of course, cliffs aren't just a feature of the seaside. You can get cliffs in most places, geologically in mountainous areas, along rivers, etc. So, do any of you live near a cliff, or have you ever gone walking along a cliff? April, what about you? Do you live in... I guess not. You live in a flat country, don't you? But have you ever been...
Yeah, the nearest beach is about 30-40 kilometers from us. But we have a river
And are there
across the
any
city.
cliffs? Do you have any cliffs?
No,
I didn't think so.
just
Yeah, it's difficult. So have you ever lived near a cliff, or have you ever spent a holiday in a cliffy area with lots of cliff sides? No? What about you, Shiny? I know you live in a mountainous area. Do you have any cliffs nearby? Oh, Shiny?
I just
Ah, okay.
waking up.
Okay, wakey. Do you live near cliffs? Have you got any cliffs near you?
No,
No?
but
No?
actually, I don't know how to say it. This steep,
Mm-hmm.
you know, steep.
Yes, so
Because
really before you can answer the question, we need to know what is a cliff. What makes a cliff? So, with that in mind, Shiny, here you go. Have a little bit of a read. So if you'd like to read that out loud, okay?
what is a cliff in geography and geology? A cliff is a vertical or nearly vertical rock exposure. Cliffs are formed as by the processes of weathering and erosion. Cliffs are common along coasts in mountainous areas, escarpments, and along rivers. Most cliffs have some form of ski slope at their base. In arid areas or under high cliffs, they are generally exposed jumbles of fallen rock. Many cliffs also feature tributary waterfalls or rock shelters along the coastline. Coastal erosion may lead to the formation of sea cliffs along a receding coastline.
Very good, well done. Just the one word really, pronunciation-wise. Geography, not geography, geography. Try it.
Geography.
That's it, well done. Okay, so a few... Yeah, basically it's like a geography lesson, really. A few words you might not be sure of. Does everybody know what an escarpment is? If I said to you, what watch out for that escarpment. Any ideas what I'd be talking
This
about?
one, then? This one? Ooh.
Careful.
This is the escarpments?
Yeah, basically an escarpment is at the edge of the cliffs where it's long and steep slope. So it can also be a long cliff, but it's long. Okay, cliffs can be quite short actually, but an escarpment, it's a geographical feature which is a long steep cliff, okay, or slope. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anything you're not sure of in that vocabulary, or you're not sure of the meaning? You know what vertical means, don't you? You all know vertical. What's the opposite of vertical?
Horizontal.
Yeah.
What is the difference between slope, escarpments?
Well, anything can be a slope if it's at an angle. Okay. So the ski slopes, if you think about ski slopes, they can be very steep or they can be quite not more level, not as steep, but they're still a slope. Okay, what you don't want to do is to go and ski over the edge of an escarpment or a cliff. That's very dangerous. But you ski down the slope, so any gradient that goes down or up, a steep slope up, steep slope down, a gentle slope, yeah. But it indicates it's not quite as dangerous as falling over a cliff. Let's have a look what Shiny's showing us. Hang on.
Because I
Oh, pretty. Too many
I
people. But nice.
because I thought a cliff would be more would be bigger. So I said that there's no cliff near where I live. No, I was wrong because I just read
These
the
are
article. And it's about 10 minutes by walking from my house to that place.
So it's about 10 minutes on foot. Yeah, it's about 10 minutes from me by foot. Yeah.
Thank you. So can I say it's a cliff? Even it's just
That's a cliff,
it's not
yeah,
so.
absolutely. They're cliffs. Very steep, cut right down through the rock. And as I say, you can climb cliffs, but you can't walk down them. You have to climb. I guess that's the best thing I can say about a cliff and a slope, April. You'd have to climb up or climb down a cliff, but you could walk down a slope, okay?
So do you believe that I live in the mountain?
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. In the mountains, but not in a mountain.
Okay.
That's always been my argument with you, Shiny. You do not live in a mountain. You live in the mountains. You live on a mountain in the mountains. Sorry, guys, we've had this argument before, Shiny and I. Okay, so nice picture though. Beautiful place. Too many people, but very beautiful. So it talked about coastal erosion. What does that mean, erosion? Anybody know what the verb is? Erode. To erode, yeah, that's it. To erode.
Erosion of the rock surface.
Yeah, basically it's a very long process, erosion, but you can see it all around you.
tearing of, tearing of the rock surface, we can say erosion.
Yep, yep. And everything erodes over time. And what causes erosion? Any ideas?
Water.
Water,
Yeah,
wind,
yeah. Water, wind.
Water, any contaminants in the fluids also cause erosion.
Pollution can cause erosion.
Erosion.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Any contaminants in the water or in any kind of fluid
yep,
also cause erosion.
yep. Absolutely. Okay, so who would like to read next? I
Acid
think
also cause erosion.
I'm not sure who. Yeah, acid erosion. Yeah, pollution, acid rain. It can all cause erosion. Okay, I'm not sure. Monique and April. April, you said you were here all on your own. So would you like to read the next? I presume that means you were first to log in. Would you like to read the next
yeah.
paragraph? Okay. It's about coastal erosion. Okay. Long-worded.
Okay,
Sorry
thank
about
you.
that.
What is coastal erosion? Coastal erosion is the wearing away of land and the removal of beach or dune sediments by wave action, tidal currents, wave currents, drainage of high winds. Waves generated by storms, wind, or fast-moving motorcraft can cause coastal erosion, which may take the form of long-term losses of sediment and rocks, or merely the temporary redistribution of coastal sediments. Erosion in one location may result in accretion nearby. The study of erosion and sediment redistribution is called coastal morphodynamics. It may be caused by hydraulic action, abrasion, impact, and corrosion.
Very good. A little bit technical, this bit. Let's just have a look at the words first. Drainage.
Drainage.
Yeah, drainage. We all
Niche.
need drainage. Literally, idge at the end. It's strange, I know, but we say drainage. Okay. There you are. Here's the text. Okay. So drainage, basically the carrying away of water. For example, if it were to rain here now, the water has to go somewhere. It has to drain. We often talk about the drainage in our homes as well. You all have drainage. And if you get your drains blocked, you'll know it. Has anybody ever had blocked drains?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have to call someone else, or did you manage to unblock the drains?
I was lucky. It was my bath tube actually.
Your what?
And I was lucky. Sorry?
Your what?
Bath tube?
Your bath
Is that right?
tube.
Bath tube?
What's a bath tube?
What is that then, Lynn? The bath
know.
then. Just the bath.
Oh,
Just the
yes,
bath.
your bath. Then you're probably thinking about the Americans, the bathtub.
Yeah, that one. Bathtub.
I don't know. I kind of fancy the idea of a bath tube. It's like something you slide into to have a bath, maybe. Bathtub. I knew what you meant, but I wanted you to think about it. Bathtub, yeah. So what happened?
But yeah, by my neighbor at that moment, my neighbors is plumber, so I just asked him, and he really needed to uh, to to uh, to put inside in the opening a very 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 strong stuff material to loosen the anything, the sediments there inside. But I don't know what was that. What makes that
It's usually
blocked?
a gel. It's usually hair and soap and fat from stuff that you've put in the bath. It all bungs up, and you need a very heavy. You were lucky. You were lucky. I mean, it's happened to me a few times. The worst one was when we were living in a flat in Germany, and there was like a visitor's toilet, and it was accessible to everybody who lived in the other flats. But there was some heavy rain, it got blocked, and everything came up through that toilet. I mean everything,
Oh my gosh.
everything. Yes, exactly. And guess who had to clean it up? Muggins here. Even though it was a communal area, because it was right next to our flat. Nobody else wanted to do it, so I had to put my rubber gloves on, get the mop and bucket out, and remove all the mess, and then unblock the toilet. And that wasn't possible with any gel or powder or anything. We had to actually get some equipment down there and scour it out. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. So drainage is important. You had that experience too, Shiny? What, poop everywhere? Oh no, it's so
No way.
smelly.
Yes, and it's about because I say I moved house, so
Yes.
it's been 3 months, and I still can't solve the problem. I bought an ecstatic something some medicine. I don't know what it is because but I bought it. I have to show my identification and sign some paper. That medicine can melt bones, metal,
Oh, good for
because
getting
I
rid of
don't have
bodies.
other way. Yeah.
Just don't let them block up your drains.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's anyway.
Yeah, the
I
biggest
still
problem you
in
have if you use stuff like that, if it doesn't work, and then the plumber comes out and realizes you've used it, it's very corrosive. Okay, so you've got erosion and corrosion. Okay, corrosion is more the sort of thing that Vinay was talking about. Corrosion can cause erosion, I guess. And the plumber might refuse to work on those pipes without full hazard gear because it is so corrosive. It really is. So do be careful.
Because where I live, the apartment is about 15 years. They built it 15 years ago, so I think maybe it's the problem. Oh, switch.
Oh, sorry, I've just noticed. Yeah, it's not a pleasant job at all. And Monique, has it ever happened to you? You were going...
No.
No? Okay. Well,
No, thank
cross your
God.
fingers when you say that, or knock on wood.
You know, we always care about maybe Shiny said something important, and it's the if or how old the building is, you know,
Yeah.
and we always care about that. So when we move, we always go to a new building, so everything is just brand new, and of course we never had that sort of problems or issues.
Okay, well, you should be very
Yeah.
lucky. Reem,
Yeah.
any problem with your drains?
No.
Gosh, you're all so lucky, guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, I'm not sure if Reem's got her headphones on today. Worked yesterday, but it's a little distorted today again, Reem. Anyway,
Now, okay, I put
that's
the
better.
headphone. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
It's not nice, noisy.
Okay. Yeah, 222 now, Reem. If you are talking, I think you've got a connection problem. Okay. Then Monique, if you'd like to read a little bit more.
Hold on. Okay. On non-rocky coasts, coastal erosion results in rock formations in areas where the coastline contains rock layers or fracture zones with varying resistance to erosion. Softer areas become eroded much faster than harder ones, which typically result in landforms such as tunnels, bridges, columns, and pillars. Over the time, the coast generally evens out. The softer areas fill up with sediment eroded from hard areas, and rock formations are eroded away. Also, abrasion commonly happens in areas where there are strong winds, loose sand, and soft rocks. The blowing of millions of sharp sand grains creates a sandblasting effect. This effect helps to erode smooth and polished rocks. The definition of abrasion is grinding and wearing away of rock surfaces through the mechanical action of other rock or sand particles.
Very good. Well done. Yeah, as we said, the wind. And I don't know, have you ever been on the beach, on a sandy beach on a windy day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting sandblasted. It's just it's very good for the skin. You really get good exfoliation. But it
That's true.
hurts. It hurts. I've been on the coast along from Calais several times when it's been like that, and we have to leave the actual beach because of Leica, because she's that bit lower down, and she ends up with sand in her eyes, and you can see the sand being whipped along the beach for miles. Well, the same thing when that sand hits a cliff, it's like a sandblaster. It erodes the rock, and over time it can cause massive erosion of even the hardest rock, time and tide. Okay, so just a little thing here, Monique. It actually says over time the coast generally evens out, not over the time. It's just over time.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Over
now
time,
don't confuse it
because
with overtime. Ka-ching. Overtime
okay,
is, yeah, overtime
yeah,
is when you work longer hours. But if you say overtime, it just means after a while, after a long time, maybe, yeah? Over time. Okay?
and what? Say that again. I mean, the second one. So, overtime and overtime. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yes, I know. It's
I
context
did
and
it.
also how you say it. Okay? So, I this is very sad, but it's true. I never get paid overtime. So that's how I'd say that. I never get paid overtime. Try that.
Okay, I never get paid overtime.
Yeah. Over time, the network has grown. Try that.
Over time, over time, the network has grown.
Can you hear the
Okay.
difference? Yeah. I never
Yep.
get paid
I,
overtime. Over time, the network has grown. Okay.
yep.
Good. Good. Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay. So, I mean, the UK is coastal. We've already discussed that. And there are coastal paths all around the UK that you can walk along, and quite often they'll take you along cliffs. Now, there are famous cliffs in the world, but April was saying, what's a slope, what's a cliff, when does a slope become a cliff? That's something people argue about, okay? Generally, for me, it's got to be pretty vertical for it to be a cliff. If I think I can run down it, it's a slope. Okay, so Shiny, who hasn't read yet? Reem, you haven't read yet, have you?
Yes, okay.
Okay, good. Then, if you'd like to read this bit.
Yes. Yes. Famous chiefs. I guess the chief need not exactly vertical. There can be unapologetically whether a given slope is a chief or not. Also about how much of certain slope to count as chief. For example, if a truly vertical rock wall above a very steep slope, one could count just the rock wall or the combination listings of chiefs are inherently uncertain.
Very good, well done. Okay, you've got a little problem with cliff. You could say slope, but it's very similar. You've got cliff. Try it.
Cliff.
That's better. It sounded almost like chief when you were saying it. Chief is CH. Chief.
Yeah.
Cliff is cla. Like
Cliff.
cluck and
Love.
clasp. Yeah, and clap. Okay? Clap.
Yeah.
Look what happened when I typed clap. That was an automatic thing. Hang on, let's see if I can get that. Clap. Okay. I must check that. I've obviously got an automatic. Whenever I type clap, it goes woo. You must have thought I'd gone mad. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so then the next one, a very ambiguous statement. Ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Yeah, ambiguity. Ambiguity.
Yeah, I am. There are a sound of R. I don't notice R in the
There's
word.
no sound of R. Ambiguity. So you've got
ambiguity.
Okay, let me show you the. Hang on. Wait. Let me show you the actual phonetic spelling. So you've got ambi. Gu. Itty. So,
Ambiguity.
that's it. Yay! See? A little bit of phonetics and a little bit of thinking about ambiguity. Okay, but what does it mean? What does ambiguity mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It means doubtful or uncertainty. If something is ambiguous, so I'm afraid sometimes English pronunciation can be very ambiguous. It's very difficult to actually define how to pronounce different words. The rules of pronunciation are ambiguous, so there is a lot of ambiguity. Okay, you've got the American pronunciation, you've got the British, the Scottish, the Welsh. It makes it all very ambiguous. So there's a lot of ambiguity. Yeah? Not an exact
Yes.
science. Okay. And then the last word for you is inherently.
Inherently.
Yeah, very good. Inherently.
Inherently.
Now, my next question is, of course, going to be, what does it mean, inherently? If something is inherent.
I don't know, but I am accepted that not a foundant.
Well, it's okay. If something's inherent, it means it's bound with it. Yeah, it's for example, Laika, my lovely doggy. She has an inherent distrust of strangers. Okay, it's built into her. There's no way of making her trust strangers. Her life experience has made her inherently distrustful of strangers. So it's part of
Yeah.
her nature now. It's part of her.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Good. Any questions? Can you think of any famous cliffs? Now, I'm not talking about Cliff Richards, okay? Can you think of any famous cliffs? Cliff of Dover? Cliff of Dover? That sounds like a person who lives in Dover. Yes. What kind of cliffs? Because we don't call them the Cliffs of Dover, we call them something specific, a colour.
A color?
Yeah.
Oh.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover.
Ah, yeah, White Cliffs. Ah, yeah, that's right. The White Cliffs of Dover, yes.
Yeah, exactly. They are very famous in the UK. Some people haven't heard of them. Any others?
In Tenerife?
Can you type that up? Ah, the Grand Canyon. Yeah, there's a lot of Tenerife. Oh, well, Tenerife is a place, and cliffs tend to get given a name. So if you found Tenerife Cliffs, let's have a look if I can find. Okay, there's Los Gigantes. Okay, the cliffs at Los Gigantes, or the Los Gigantes Cliffs, on the west coast of Tenerife. So yes, Tenerife is a cliffy area. There's a lot of cliffs there, but it's not a cliff. It is a country. It's an island. Okay, but the cliffs of, oh yeah, I've just found them. They do look rather spectacular. So they tend to be like mountains, you know, Mount Everest, the White Cliffs of Dover, and the Cliffs of Los Gigantes, or the Los Gigantes Cliffs, the giants. Okay. Oh, they look really nice. Have you ever been there, Monique?
Nope.
No, me neither. Bummer. Now, you've also put cliffs in Japan, Shiny. Yeah, if you've got any famous cliffs with names in Japan. I mean, the picture you showed was very... There's Tojinbo? I've just found.
How did you know that?
I just Googled it.
Okay, you are so smart.
No, Google is smart. Yeah, Tojinbo, a series of basaltic cliffs on the Sea of Japan in Japan. Yeah, I love that, on the Sea of Japan in Japan. Oh, they look really lovely. Have you been there, Shiny? Shiny, have you ever been to visit these cliffs?
Yes,
Ooh, excellent. Lucky.
I had been there once, and it's winter, so it's very horrible because it's windy and cold.
Yeah, that can be the downside of the sea. We're going. Normally, when we go to England, we head inland pretty quickly because that's where friends and family live. But this year, we're going to visit a friend who lives along the coast, and we're hoping that it won't be cold and wet. The last time we were there, it was so windy, and the waves would come over the promenade. We couldn't walk down the promenade. It was too rough. It was really dangerous. Ah, no worries, no worries. I wondered if you lost voice. Okay. So let's have a look at let's read about some other famous cliffs. We've got the highest cliffs in the world, for starters. So we'll go back round. April, if you'd like to read that text.
Oh, I thought that I have to start with sorry. Sorry, I thought I clicked the talk.
No.
Okay.
In fact, it should be one candidate for the highest cliffs in the world. Let me just change that. This is always the problem with some of the text. So let me just draw a line under that one. You can ignore that, and there's that one. Okay?
Okay. One candidate for the highest cliffs in the world is Nanga Parbat's Rupal face, which rises approximately 4,600 meters or 15,000 feet above its base. According to other sources, the highest cliff in the world, about 1,340 meters high, is the east face of Great Trango in the Karakoram Mountains of northern Pakistan. This uses a fairly stringent notion of cliff, as the 1,304-meter figure refers to a nearly vertical head wall of two stacked pillars. Adding in a very steep approach brings the total drop from the east face precipice to the nearby Duns Glacier to nearly 2,000 meters. I don't know which language that is. Dunga, but it could be Dunga.
The nearby Dunga Glacier. Again, glaciers, they're given names. The big ones, the ones that have been there for many, many years. People name them. So the Dunga Glaciers, yeah. And a lot of people go to this Trango group of peaks to climb these areas, and it is quite spectacular, it has to be said. But again, it depends. Everybody wants to have the highest, don't they? And it depends how you measure it. So is it too much of a slope to be a cliff? Do you measure it from the bottom where the scree starts to the top, or do you measure it from where the cliff starts to the top? It's a difficult one and not worth arguing about as far as I'm concerned. Had you ever heard of these Trango towers? These Trango cliffs?
No.
No, me neither, till I was researching this. But people go climbing there. Just trying to see if I can find... here you go. This is quite spectacular. Let's see if I can share this with you. I mean, one has to wonder how long they'll stand, to be honest.
No, I cannot see this.
Oh, you can't view it. Oh, hang on. Let me try it without that. I don't know why I've got... Try that second one.
Okay. Yep. Oh. Yeah, it's quite...
It's what I would call spectacular.
Yeah, either is actually, I don't know.
I don't know if I'd
Different,
go and think I want to climb it, but I can understand. Yeah, I know, Shiny.
Yes.
It is very unusual. And that must have been caused by the wind erosion.
Oh. Hmm.
Okay, then of course we've got the sea cliffs. Monique, if you'd like to read about the sea cliffs. Sorry about the words here. Some of them are really just do it give it your best shot.
The location of the world's highest sea cliffs depends also on the definition of cliff that is used. Guinness World Records states it is Kalaupapa, Hawaii, at 1,010 meters high. Another contender is the north face of Mitre Peak, which drops 1,683 meters to Milford Sound, New Zealand. These are subject to a less stringent definition, as the average slope of these cliffs at Kaulapapa is about 1.7, corresponding to an angle of 60 degrees, and Metro Peak is similar. A more vertical drop into the sea can be found at Maujit Kakarasuasia, also known as the thumbnail, which is situated in the Torsukatak Jord area at the very tip of South Greenland and drops 1,560 meters near vertically.
Wow, well done you.
Really
Now, this is,
not.
yeah, but this is where you can start to realise that all this time of reading and reading things you're uncomfortable with can actually help you with your pronunciation. I mean, who knows how that's pronounced? I've got no idea. I'd have just said the thumbnail. The thumbnail. I can do that. But Maujit Kakarusuasia, maybe? I don't know. Torsu Katak Fjord. But I can help you with that one. Fjord. The fjords.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Norwegian
Fjord.
sort of name, but we've taken that name to mean... And fjords are like a series of cliffs. I've never actually seen the fjords. The Falraven fjords are meant to be really quite amazing as well. But yeah, fjords. We've just taken that, the name, and incorporated it into English. We've borrowed it. Okay.
Fjord.
Okay. So, any questions? And again, the people arguing about it. Oh, it's too steep a slope. It's not. No, it's too level. The slope isn't steep enough. Our cliff's steeper, so it must be the steepest, the highest cliff or the lowest cliff. Oh, I don't know. People really do argue about this stuff. No questions? Okay, then let's carry on. And we'll look at the White Cliffs of Dover, which when you compare them with these spectacular cliffs in other parts of the world, they're not that spectacular, but they are very noticeable. Do you know what makes the White Cliffs of Dover white? And it's not the BNP. Any ideas? Not salt. Good guess, but no, not salt.
The steam of the water, or?
It's not the water, no. In fact, the water's pretty murky grey, actually, around there. It's the kind of stone it is. Yep. Any idea what sort of stone it is? Anybody been in a classroom recently with a blackboard? What do you use to write on a blackboard?
The marker?
Oh, the modern person. No, oldies like April and I know. Chalk. You use a marker on a whiteboard, Monique, but on a good old-fashioned
Okay.
blackboard. I could have, I mean, to be completely politically correct, I should have said chalkboard, but it kind of gives the game away, doesn't it? What do you use to write on with a chalkboard? So, yeah, on a blackboard, as it used to be known, or a chalkboard, you write with chalk. And the White Cliffs of Dover are actually chalk. Okay, and that chalk is traditionally white, and they are very, very white sometimes, especially after heavy rain and storms, because it washes away the grubbier parts. It erodes all the time, in constantly erosion. Yeah, oh, probably. I probably did. Okay, so let me give you the first bit of text, shiny.
The white cliffs of Dover are cliffs that form part of the English coastline facing the Strait of Dover and France. The cliffs are part of the North Downs Formation. The cliff face, which reaches up to 350 feet, 110 meters, owes its striking appearance to its composition of chalk accented by streaks of black flint. The cliffs stretch along the coastline for 8 miles, 13 kilometers, spreading east and west from the town of Dover in the county of Kent, an ancient and still important English port.
Very good. Yeah, if you take a ferry from France, from Calais, it will go to Dover. And one of the first things you'll see as you're crossing the channel will be the White Cliffs. And then you know, oh, I'm nearly in England. You've just written, Shiny, those tiny animal jump off out that cliff. Do you mean lemmings? You say jump off. Yeah, lemmings or paragliders jump off cliffs. Actually, there is a little bit of dispute as to whether lemmings actually jump off the cliff or if they're just pushed over because of the massive numbers, whether they willingly go whee. But who knows? Or Brexiteers. You could say Brexiteers like to jump off cliffs. I'm joking. Okay, very good. Any questions? All okay with the vocabulary? Okay, then Reem, if you'd like to read this next part.
Yes, okay. The gloves have great symbolic value in Britain because the face towards contently Europe across the northeast part of English Channel, where invasion have historically theater ended, and against which the gloves form an symbolic guard. The National Trust calls the gloves an icon of Britain, with the white clock face a symbol of home and war time defense. Because crossing at Dover was the primary route roughly to the content before the advent of air travel. The weight line of gloves also formed the first or last suit of Britain for travelers. In the World War II, thousands of Allied troops on the little ships, cheap, sheep, ships, not ships, ships in the Dunkirk evacuation say the welcoming sight of the gloves.
Okay, let's start with cliffs. So it's like if. Cliff, cliffs.
Gloves.
Yeah, not clough, cliff. Okay, so the next word, let's have a look at the first word. Symbolic. If something is symbolic.
Symbolic.
Yeah, it
It is a
symbolizes
notice.
something. Yeah. Basically, if you look at the back of my leather jacket, yeah,
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 there's
like a
the
look.
symbol of the LEO network. So my leather jacket is symbolic of the LEO network. It symbolizes it. Okay. And the relaxed attitude we have here is symbolic of the network. Okay. And so the
Yeah,
cliffs are a big symbol in the UK. They even sang a song about it during the war. We're very proud of the White Cliffs of Dover, even though they're just cliffs. Everybody knows them. People go to visit them, and when you see them, you think, "Oh, England." Okay. Then the next one, we've got two words actually. We'll do them both. Continent.
Con continent,
Yeah, and continental. Oh, bye, Monique. Thanks for coming. So, continent,
contin
continental.
contin continental,
That's right.
continental.
Yeah, we all come from different continents. Yeah, so Asia's a continent, Europe's a continent. So when they talk about continental Europe, they're talking about mainland Europe. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Next one is threatened. A threat to threaten. A threat to threaten.
threat, threatened,
Yeah, so threatened is the past of to threat. A threat. To threaten. Sorry.
threat,
Threatened is the past of to threaten. Okay. Then symbolic again, that's fine. Guard.
guard,
Yeah, the guard. To guard yourself. To protect yourself.
guard,
Okay. Then I'm losing my place here, so I'll put it back up. Chalk.
shock,
Not ch. Chalk.
shock, shock, shock,
Yeah. So sh is normally sh, like shirt, and ch is like church. And then
church,
you got chalk.
shock,
That's it. Then
shock,
root. The root.
root,
Yeah.
root,
It's exactly like route. Route. The way. Okay. The route to the lighthouse is down the cliffs and across the walkway. Yeah. Different routes.
yeah,
Okay. Then air, not area. Air.
air,
Yeah. The air that you breathe. Okay.
air,
Next one, sight.
sight,
Yep, it's just the same as like a building site, and to enjoy the sights on holiday. Yeah, go and enjoy the sights. It's like I sound. Now, when you see World
like
War
the,
Two, or you might see it written like that, you might see it written like that. Okay, we either say the Second World
yeah,
War or World War Two. We often say the Second World War.
Yeah, the Second World War.
That's
When
it.
we use second, you must began.
Yeah, just when you see it written like that, we don't write it in the same way we pronounce it, but when we see it, we know it's the Second World War. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, the next one, again, we've got this sh or ch. In this case, it's sh. Ships.
ships.
That's it. Ships, not chips. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, ships.
Okay, and then the last one, on the other side of the channel to Dover, the opposite side of the channel to Dover, is a port, a French port called Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Yeah, and Dunkirk in the Second World War, when the British were being defeated by the Germans, everybody went to Dunkirk and they had to be evacuated from the beaches. There was a whole flotilla of ships were sent over to rescue the soldiers off the beaches where they were being slaughtered. Okay, and that's called the Dunkirk evacuation.
Dunkirk evacuation.
Evacuation, to evacuate.
Evacuate. Evacuate. Syllables. Evacuate. To evacuate.
That's that's pretty good. Evacuate.
Evacuate.
Okay, so if you have a look at it in terms of the phonetic symbols, you've got evacuate.
Yes.
Try it. Evacuate.
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 That's it. So then you have evacuation.
Evacuation.
You're nearly there. Practice that one a bit.
Yeah. I
No,
must
not
practice.
bad, not bad at all. Well done.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Exactly, April. Yes, it's called D-Day. The D-Day landings. It's actually D-Day was slightly different. Okay, D-Day was when we went back. I don't think they actually landed D-Day at Dunkirk.
Oh, yes, it is. But it is not the D-Day when they landed there? I think so.
No. D-Day was the beginning of the pushback. Okay. The pushback was we'd left and then we went back. Okay. On the 6th of June, 1944. Operation Overlord. Okay. And they landed on the Normandy beaches. Okay. Which is further along from Dunkirk. Dunkirk was an absolute disaster for us. And basically the Dunkirk evacuation, as it's called, it's also called the Miracle of Dunkirk. You can read about it, but it's not part of D-Day. It was in 1940 when we were being pushed back. And yeah, they evacuated over 250,000 people from those beaches. You can still go there and you can see it, but yeah, it's a totally different time. Don't mix. Well, you can mix the two up. It doesn't really matter. But D-Day is in 1944, and the Dunkirk evacuation was, I think, 1940. Okay. You sound surprised, April. I know you're going to check
because
my dates now, aren't you?
yeah, if you said to me D-Day, in my imagination there is that ship, that big ship, and it went open, and all the tanks and the soldiers come out of of the ships. And
but Dunkirk, that's D-Day.
Uh-huh.
That's D-Day, yeah. But Dunkirk was everybody getting onto the ships and trying to get away from the beach and go back to England. Okay. So Dunkirk, I'm not sure if any of the D-Day landings even took place on Dunkirk. Okay, let's have a look. I think it was further up the coast. The Normandy landings. Yeah, because Dunkirk is, is it north, south, east or west of Calais? And the other side of Calais, the Normandy landings took place, I think. But I'm not a historian. I don't study these things. Okay. Let's see if I can find anything about Dunkirk there. No. No, it was further along the coast from Dunkirk. We'd been kicked out of France at Dunkirk in 1940, and we went back 4 years later to go back on the offensive on the D-Day landings. And that was the beginning of the end of the war. Okay. Oh, a history lesson as well as a geography lesson.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, I want to share this with you because it's really nice. It's an A to Z of coasts on SlideShare. It's lovely. And we can maybe read that when I come back off holiday. We haven't managed to read the poem today, but I think we've run out of time now. So I'd better finish. I've got German again this afternoon, so I haven't done my homework yet. I'm a bad student, but I will get it done. So I hope you enjoyed today's session all about cliffs. I think we've just about covered the coast as much as we can in these sessions. So we'll maybe do a little bit of poetry when I come back, and maybe then we'll start a new topic when I come back off holiday. Thank you, Shiny. I need all the luck I can get. But save your wishing me luck for my exams in August, okay? I hate exams.
That's a real school, Lynn.
I'm sorry?
Not, it's a real building where you learn German. Not like us, learning through the computer.
Oh, no, it's online. But
it's online.
Yeah, it's online, but it's with... Because I don't like going into classrooms anymore. I'm classroom averse nowadays. I much prefer to learn in the comfort of my own home online. But it is an actual language school that runs the sessions, and there's a certificate at the end. But that certificate's no use for my purposes. I have to get a Goethe certificate to do what I want to do. So I've got these lessons and the certificate at the end of these lessons, but then I'll have to sit an exam anyway, which does not make me very happy, I have to say.
So it is interactive then. So you have real teacher on the other side of the computer.
Oh yes, yeah. No, I mean I could do the sort of thing. And I have done. I do lessons online that are just yourself and some tests and filling in the gaps, etc. But you cannot beat talking to somebody and asking questions live and practicing live with a real person. So yes, that's what I'm doing now. Okay. But somehow yesterday I ended up booking 3 hours. It was too much. Don't do that, guys. 3 hours of English. My goodness, it was awful. Zom was right to tell me off. Okay, so take care, and I will see you, if not in another session this week, when I get back off my holidays. So have fun, and don't forget you can still come and meet up and talk and keep your English nicely polished for when I come back. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Reem. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye, guys. I have to go too.